Let me tell you something most men will never say out loud. Not because they don't feel it, but because they were raised to hide it. Men grow older, their bodies slow down, the world starts treating them like they're invisible, and yet deep inside, their emotional needs don't disappear. In fact, they grow stronger. Here's the truth: men don't secretly want perfection. They don't want drama, control, or competition. What they want is rare, and that's why only a small percentage of women truly understand it. First, men want respect more than romance. You can love a man deeply, but if you talk down to him, correct him publicly, or make him feel small, that love won't last. A man's heart opens when he feels respected. When an older woman speaks to him with dignity, trusts his decisions, and honors his effort, even when he falls short, something powerful happens. He feels safe, and a man who feels safe will give you loyalty money can't buy. Let me slow this down and tell you the truth most people rush past. When it comes to men, especially grown men who have lived, failed, paid bills, raised families, lost love, and rebuilt themselves, respect is not optional. It is oxygen. A man can survive without romance for a long time, but he cannot survive long without respect. This is something very few women truly understand, and even fewer practice consistently. A man hears disrespect long before he hears love. You can say you care about him, but if your tone carries judgment, if your words sound like correction instead of support, if you roll your eyes when he speaks or dismisses opinions, he feels it immediately. Men are extremely sensitive to how they are spoken to, especially in front of others. Public embarrassment cuts deeper than most women realize. When a man feels exposed or belittled, something inside him shuts down. He may not argue, he may not explain. He simply withdraws emotionally, and once that door closes, it is very hard to reopen. Respect does not mean silence. It does not mean agreeing with everything he says. It means understanding how to communicate disagreement without stripping him of dignity. The rare woman knows how to express her needs without attacking his character. She doesn't say, "You never do anything right." She says, "I need more consistency from you." That difference may sound small, but to a man, it is the difference between motivation and humiliation. Older men, especially, are carrying invisible weight. They are aware of time. They know they are not 20 anymore. They feel the pressure of legacy, relevance, and self-worth. When a woman treats him like he still matters, like his voice still has value, like his effort is seen even when the outcome is imperfect, he feels respected. And when a man feels respected, he naturally wants to do more, be better, and show up stronger. Respect also shows up in trust. A man wants to feel that you believe in his ability to lead his own life. Constant checking, controlling, and second guessing communicates one thing to him: you don't trust me. Even when a woman thinks she is helping, micromanaging a man's decisions slowly erodes his confidence. The 1.1% of women understand that letting a man make choices, even imperfect ones, is a form of respect. They allow him space to be a man, not a child who needs supervision. There is also respect and appreciation. Many men go years without hearing genuine gratitude. Not applause, not exaggerated praise. Simple acknowledgement. Thank you for trying. Thank you for providing. Thank you for being consistent. These words may seem basic, but to a man, they are fuel. A man who feels appreciated feels respected, and a man who feels respected becomes deeply attached to the source of that feeling. Disrespect doesn't always come loud. Sometimes it comes quietly through comparison. Comparing him to other men, to exes, to someone else's husband, or even to an ideal version in your mind. The moment a man feels like he is constantly being measured and found lacking, he stops competing. Not because he doesn't care, but because he no longer feels safe to be himself. The rare woman does not compare, she chooses. And choosing a man fully is one of the highest forms of respect. Respect also means believing a man when he tells you who he is, not trying to reshape him into a project, not entering a relationship with the intention of fixing him. Men want to be accepted for who they are while being encouraged to grow, not criticized into change. When a man senses that a woman sees him as broken or inadequate, he resists. When he feels seen and valued, he evolves naturally. Many women underestimate how deeply disrespect wounds a man because men don't always express it emotionally. They express it through distance, silence, distraction, or departure. A man may stay physically present while emotionally checked out. And by the time a woman notices, he has already grieved the relationship internally. The women who understand respect move differently. They listen fully instead of waiting to respond. They speak with intention instead of impulse. They correct privately, praise publicly, and protect a man's pride instead of challenging it. They understand that a man's ego is not weakness, it is responsibility. When that responsibility is honored, a man rises to it. Respect is not submission. It is recognition. Recognition of effort. Recognition of intent. Recognition of humanity. And when a man receives that from a woman, especially later in life when the world has taken so much from him, he bonds deeply. Not because she controlled him, not because she impressed him, but because she gave him something rare and allowed critical world dignity. Second, men want peace, not pressure. Life already beats a man up every day. Bills, expectations, responsibilities, regrets. When he comes to you, he doesn't want another battlefield. He wants rest. The rare woman knows how to create emotional calm. She listens without interrupting, speaks without attacking, and chooses peace over being right. That kind of woman becomes irreplaceable. Most men will never say this out loud, but what they want more than excitement, more than arguments that end in apologies, more than emotional intensity is peace. Not boredom, not silence, peace. A place where their nervous system can finally rest. Life is already loud for a man. By the time he reaches maturity, he has spent decades being pulled in different directions, expected to perform, provide, fix, endure, and stay strong without complaint. When he looks toward a woman, especially later in life, he is not looking for another source of pressure. He is looking for relief. A man experiences pressure everywhere. At work, he is measured by results. In society, he is judged by status and success. Even within himself, he carries the weight of what he should have done better. When he comes home or enters a relationship, he wants to exhale. The moment he feels like he must defend himself, explain himself, or walk on emotional landmines, his body goes into survival mode, peace disappears, and with it, his desire to emotionally invest. The rare woman understands that peace is not passive. It is intentional. It is choosing calm over chaos, even when emotions are high. It is knowing when to speak and when to pause. It is not reacting to every irritation or turning every disagreement into a referendum on the relationship. A peaceful woman does not escalate to feel heard. She communicates clearly without attacking. That kind of energy is magnetic to men. Many women believe that being vocal, assertive, or emotionally expressive automatically strengthens a relationship. But men experience constant emotional intensity as stress, not connection. This does not mean a man wants silence or avoidance. It means he wants problems addressed without drama. He wants conversations without emotional ambushes. He wants to know that one disagreement will not turn into a review of every mistake he has ever made. Older men, in particular, are deeply sensitive to emotional pressure. They have already lived through relationships where arguments drained them, where peace was promised but chaos delivered. When they encounter a woman who can disagree without exploding, who can be disappointed without becoming hostile, they feel immediate relief. That relief turns into trust, and trust turns into attachment. Peace also shows up in emotional predictability. A man wants to know what version of you he is coming home to. Unpredictable moods, sudden emotional shifts, and unresolved resentment create anxiety. The rare woman does her emotional work. She processes her feelings instead of unloading them impulsively. She takes responsibility for her inner world instead of making him manage it for her. A peaceful woman understands that timing matters. She doesn't choose exhaustion as the moment for confrontation. She doesn't demand emotional availability when a man is mentally depleted. She knows when to wait and when to speak. This does not make her weak. It makes her wise. Men recognize this wisdom immediately, even if they cannot articulate it. Another misunderstood aspect of peace is not nagging. Repeating the same complaint over and over does not motivate a man. It wears him down. It communicates dissatisfaction without direction. Men respond far better to clarity than repetition. The 1.1% of women say what they need once clearly, and then allow space for action. They don't hover. They don't chase compliance. They let a man step up in his own time. Peace also means not competing for dominance. Power struggles exhaust men. When a relationship feels like a constant test of who is in control, men emotionally disengage. The rare woman is confident enough to let go of control. She doesn't need to win every argument. She doesn't need to prove superiority. Her strength is quiet, and that quiet strength is deeply attractive. A man associates peace with safety. When he feels safe, his guard drops. He becomes more open, more affectionate, more present. This is when men soften. This is when they invest, not when they are pushed, threatened, or guilted into connection. Many relationships fail not because of lack of love, but because of lack of peace. Men leave relationships they love because the emotional cost is too high. The rare woman understands this before it reaches that point. She becomes a place of restoration, not depletion. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of emotional maturity. When a man finds that in a woman, especially later in life, he does not take it lightly. He holds on to it because peace is not something men stumble upon often. It is something they recognize immediately when it finally appears. Third, men want to feel chosen, not tolerated. A man can tell when you're with him because you want him or because you're afraid of being alone. The 1.1% of women don't make men feel like a backup plan. They make him feel desired, appreciated, and intentionally chosen. And when a man feels chosen, he will choose you back every single day. Many men walk through relationships feeling like they are merely being allowed to stay, not genuinely wanted. They sense when a woman is with them out of habit, fear of loneliness, or convenience rather than true desire. Men may not always say it, but they can feel the difference deeply. Being tolerated drains a man's spirit in a way that outright rejection never does. At least rejection is honest. Tolerance is quiet dismissal, and it slowly erodes a man's sense of worth. A man wants to feel chosen every day, not just at the beginning. Chosen means you wake up and still see him as your decision, not your compromise. It means your presence carries intention, not obligation. Older men are especially sensitive to this because they have already experienced relationships where passion faded into routine and affection turned into duty. When they sense that pattern returning, something inside them pulls back. The rare woman understands that choice is communicated through behavior more than words. She shows interest without being asked. She engages instead of merely responding. She makes space for him in her life rather than squeezing him into leftover time. These actions tell a man, I want you here, without needing to say it directly. Men also feel chosen when they are not constantly reminded of alternatives. When a woman frequently mentions other men, past relationships, or hypothetical better options, it plants doubt. Even if she claims she is being honest or playful, the message lands as comparison. A man who feels compared feels replaceable. A man who feels replaceable never fully relaxes. The women who understand this protect the relationship from unnecessary comparisons. They don't dangle options to maintain leverage. They offer commitment through consistency. Being chosen also means a man feels welcome, not evaluated. Many men feel like they are under continuous review, as if one mistake could cost them the relationship. This creates anxiety, not motivation. The rare woman does not treat love like a performance review. She allows room for imperfection. She addresses issues without threatening abandonment. That stability allows a man to show up more fully. Older men, in particular, want to know they are not being used as emotional placeholders. They are wary of being chosen only because a woman does not want to start over or because time feels limited. When a woman makes a man feel like a strategic decision instead of an emotional one, he withdraws. The 1.1% of women make men feel wanted for who they are, not what they provide or represent. A man feels chosen when his presence is celebrated, not merely accepted. Simple gestures matter. Initiating contact, remembering details, showing excitement to see him. These are not small things to a man. They signal desire. Desire reassures him that he is more than a convenience. Men also want to feel chosen emotionally, not just physically. They want to know that when something good or bad happens, they are the person you want to share it with. When a man is the first call, the first thought, the first share, he knows he holds a meaningful place in your life. That emotional priority strengthens his bond more than grand declarations ever could. The opposite of being chosen is feeling replaceable. Social media, constant messaging, and casual dating culture have intensified this fear. Men know options exist. What they want to know is whether they are your option. The rare woman does not keep one foot out the door. She is present. Her energy is settled. That settled energy communicates choice more loudly than words. When a man feels chosen, he stops performing. He stops guarding. He stops questioning his value. He becomes more generous with his time, his effort, and his emotions. He invests because he feels secure, not because he is trying to earn his place. Many women believe that withholding affection or creating uncertainty keeps a man interested. In reality, it creates emotional distance. Interest grows in safety, not in doubt. The women who understand this do not play games. They show up with clarity, and clarity makes a man feel chosen. A man who feels chosen does not look elsewhere, not because he is controlled, but because he is fulfilled. That fulfillment comes from knowing that he is not just tolerated in a woman's life, but genuinely wanted there. Most people underestimate how much emotional weight men carry simply by existing in the world. From a young age, men are taught to be strong, to handle problems alone, to not complain, and to keep moving forward regardless of how they feel inside. Over time, this conditioning turns into silence, not because men have nothing to say, but because they have learned that opening up often comes with consequences. Emotional safety, therefore, becomes one of the rarest and most valuable experiences a man can have in a relationship. A man wants to know that when he speaks honestly, he will not be punished for it later. Many men have experienced moments where they shared a fear, a mistake, or a vulnerability, only to see it brought up in an argument months or even years later. That experience teaches a man to close himself off. Once trust is broken in that way, it is extremely difficult to rebuild. The rare woman understands that vulnerability is fragile. She treats it with care instead of using it as leverage. Emotional safety begins with listening without judgment. When a man talks about his doubts or struggles, he is not always asking for solutions. Often, he just wants to be heard without being corrected, minimized, or dismissed. When a woman immediately jumps into fixing mode or critique, a man feels misunderstood. The women who create emotional safety allow space for his feelings to exist without needing to reshape them. Another critical aspect of emotional safety is consistency. A man needs to know that your response to his vulnerability will be steady, not dependent on your mood or the state of the relationship. If affection and acceptance are withdrawn whenever conflict arises, a man learns that love is conditional. Conditional love does not feel safe. The 1.1% of women remain emotionally grounded even during disagreement. They separate the issue from the person, making it clear that conflict does not equal rejection. Men also need reassurance that their emotions do not make them weak in your eyes. Many men fear that showing sadness, fear, or uncertainty will cause a woman to lose respect for them. When a woman responds with patience instead of disappointment, she sends a powerful message: you are allowed to be human here. That permission deepens trust and attachment. Emotional safety also means respecting a man's privacy. Not every thought needs to be shared with friends, family, or social media. When a man opens up and later realizes his personal struggles have become public knowledge, he feels exposed. The rare woman protects his story. She understands that trust grows in confidentiality. There is also safety in how conflict is handled. A woman who uses insults, sarcasm, or threats during arguments creates fear, not resolution. Even if the words are later apologized for, the emotional damage remains. Men remember how arguments make them feel long after the details fade. The women who create emotional safety fight fairly. They focus on solutions, not wounds. Older men, especially, are deeply aware of emotional risk. They have been hurt before. They have learned what it costs to open up to the wrong person. When they encounter a woman who responds to honesty with understanding rather than judgment, it feels unfamiliar at first. That unfamiliarity slowly turns into comfort, and comfort becomes attachment. Emotional safety also includes allowing silence. Men do not always process emotions through immediate conversation. Sometimes they need time. A woman who demands instant emotional clarity can unintentionally push a man further inward. The rare woman respects his processing style. She does not interpret silence as withdrawal or punishment. She allows space without withdrawing love. When a man feels emotionally safe, he begins to share more naturally. He becomes expressive in his own way. He invests emotionally because the risk feels worth it. Safety removes fear, and without fear, intimacy grows. Many relationships struggle not because men are emotionally unavailable, but because they do not feel emotionally safe. The women who understand this do not force vulnerability. They create an environment where it unfolds organically. A man who feels emotionally safe will open doors he has kept closed for years. Not because he was pressured, but because he finally found a place where honesty does not cost him his dignity. Fifth, and this is the one almost nobody talks about, men want feminine confidence, not competition. A man doesn't want to fight you for control. He doesn't want to prove he's the leader every day. He wants a woman who is secure in who she is, comfortable in her femininity, and confident without needing to dominate. That balance is powerful and extremely rare. Now listen to me carefully. Age is not the problem. Past relationships are not the problem. The real issue is mindset. Older women who understand these 5 things don't struggle in love. They don't chase men. Men find them. Because when a man experiences respect, peace, safety, and genuine desire in one place, he doesn't go looking anywhere else. You don't have to change who you are. You just have to understand what truly matters. Many men are exhausted by competition long before they ever admit it. Competition at work, competition in society, competition with time, and sometimes even competition inside their own relationships. When a man enters a relationship, he is not looking for another arena where he must constantly prove himself. He is looking for balance. What most men secretly want is not dominance or submission, but a woman who is secure enough in herself that she does not need to compete with him to feel powerful. Feminine confidence is often misunderstood. It is not loud. It does not announce itself. It does not need to control the room or win every exchange. It is quiet, grounded, and self-assured. Men feel the difference immediately. A woman who is confident in her femininity does not feel threatened by a man's strength, and she does not try to overpower it. She complements it. That dynamic creates harmony instead of tension. Many women believe that matching a man's energy means challenging him at every turn. While assertiveness has its place, constant challenge creates friction. Men experience this as resistance rather than partnership. Over time, that resistance becomes exhausting. The rare woman knows when to stand firm and when to soften. She understands that flexibility is not weakness, it is emotional intelligence. A man wants to feel like he is building with a woman, not defending himself against her. When conversations turn into power struggles, intimacy erodes. Men pull back not because they want control, but because they want peace. A woman who does not need to dominate creates space for a man to lead naturally. When leadership is given rather than demanded, men rise into it willingly. Feminine confidence also shows up in emotional regulation. A woman who trusts herself does not react impulsively to every trigger. She does not need to test a man's loyalty through drama. She communicates directly instead of manipulating situations to provoke reassurance. That emotional steadiness is deeply attractive to men, especially those who have lived through chaotic relationships. Older men, in particular, are drawn to women who are settled within themselves. They have already experienced relationships fueled by ego clashes and emotional battles. When they encounter a woman who is calm in her confidence, it feels like relief. There is no need to perform, no need to win, just space to exist and connect. Another key aspect of feminine confidence is self-respect. A woman who respects herself does not tolerate poor treatment, but she also does not need to punish consideration. She sets boundaries calmly and consistently. Men respect boundaries when they are clear and not weaponized. The rare woman does not use boundaries as ultimatums. She uses them as guidelines for mutual respect. Men also respond to a woman who is comfortable receiving. Receiving care complements leadership, and effort without guilt or deflection sends a powerful message. It tells a man that his contribution is valued. When a woman competes instead of receives, a man feels unnecessary. When she receives with grace, he feels useful and wanted. Feminine confidence allows a woman to be expressive without being overwhelming. She can be strong without being harsh, independent without being closed off, and supportive without losing herself. This balance is rare because it requires inner security, not external validation. Men do not want to fight the woman they love. They want to protect her, build with her, and relax beside her. When a woman stops competing and starts complimenting, a man feels understood. That understanding creates emotional loyalty. Many relationships fail not because of lack of attraction, but because of constant power struggles disguised as strength. The women who understand feminine confidence remove the struggle. They do not diminish a man to elevate themselves. They elevate the connection by standing firmly in who they are. When a man experiences a woman who is confident without being combative, strong without being controlling, and secure without being distant, he does not forget it. That kind of presence is rare, and rarity is what makes it unforgettable.